So I'm here with Jan Venturini as the director of the Institute for Transpersonal Studies. I'm Rainya Dann, and I have known Jan for over 30 years, 25, 30 years, and she is an amazing psychic astrologer, intuitive, and dear colleague and friend, and just a beautiful being of light and wisdom. And so we are here to ask her some questions about this virus that's been floating around from a more metaphysical level. So Jan, welcome.
It's always a pleasure, Rainya, and it's fascinating how nature had to use something that would really touch us in the deepest part of our being in order to be listened to. Mm-hmm. And Mother Nature has tried so many ways to wake us up. Mm-hmm. And yet, one of the best ways to wake people up is to have something that touches them on a personal level. Mm-hmm. And so the number one reason for the pandemic virus is a wake-up to truth and out of fiction. We have spent so long listening to so much outside of ourselves and searching even sometimes for a wholeness outside of ourselves when in truth, everything is within. Mm-hmm. And if you want to know where the truth is, go to your heart. Mm-hmm. Now we have an opportunity to be kind, caring, compassionate, nurturing, sharing people. And rather than being afraid of something that is allowing us the depth of our own inner space by being inside, we could use that time to really look at our lives in gratitude, absolute appreciation, and know that everything is in divine order. And when you can finally look at your life as nothing being a happen chance, you can really begin to allow each event in your life, whether it's an opportunity or it's an obstacle, to become a deep, profound teaching or a deep, profound awareness that allows you to be in the space of the divine in every moment of your life. So if people would use this time to not run around like scared little monkeys and instead fall into the beauty of your being, get caught up on all those things that you've just left behind at home, clear the space for calling a friend and encouraging them and nurturing them, and be available if you can, for others who may need your help, particularly the elderly or the infirmed or those who are high-risk people. So this is an opportunity for us to show what we're really made of, and I think it's a phenomenal one, because when this is all said and done, people will become more aware of their lives, more appreciative of the freedom of being able to go out their door, the freedom of walking in the parks that are now closed, the freedom of the beaches, the freedom of being able to do things in their life that they weren't able to do before. And all that will not be taken for granted. So this is probably a great gift. If we can look at it as a gift, then we can maintain an inner health in our emotional body, our physical body, and our mental body that allows us to be more at peace inside. And that's the greatest resistance we have to any kind of disease, is to be in a point of balance, inner harmony, and absolute wholeness inside. I cannot stress that enough, Rainya, that it's really important to take the time to watch positive programs, if you're going to watch something, to listen to positive music, to fill yourself with dreaming your new life. If I was to be a teacher out there teaching an online class, I would say, all right, why don't you take this opportunity to say, this is my life, and from this point forward, this is what I'd like to do with it. These are the things I want to create. This is what I really want to be a part of. By spending time being alone, you find you will not have outside interference. And you'll really be able to really connect to the deepest part of your soul. And that's what each of us are needing right in this moment.
Beautiful.
As far as the levels of, if we would look at our life backwards, all of us, we became aware of global warming in the 1970s. All right, we're 50 years down the road and still not doing anything about global warming. We've lost many species of animals. We have had devastating fires. So much of that is just the planet, Mother Earth, trying to say, do you not notice? What do I have to do to get your attention? And in all of her beauty and glory, she figured out something that would get our attention. And we need to say thank you. Thank you for showing us what we need to do. We didn't know before. Now we do. We know. We know that if we don't take care of this planet, it won't take care of us. She's the goddess we live on. She deserves to be nurtured. And so each of us could make a plan in our own lives beyond what we wish for ourselves to do something for the planet. Mm-hmm. So add that to your list. What do you want to do to help nurture this planet into the wholeness that she's experiencing right now? Like dolphins and swans returning to the canals in Venice. That birds are singing and celebrating each morning in such a profound way, we cannot not listen to them. Everything is getting cleaner. The air, the water. Naturally, things are getting more balanced because we're not interfering with the process. And so now you have an opportunity to go into your inner realms and see, what do you need to clean up there? Mm-hmm. And it's critically important. And I know people have lots of questions about it. And so I encourage you, Rainya, to ask me questions, because Spirit always loves to answer questions. That's their favorite thing to do. Is, ask the question and they'll give you the answer.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so beautiful what you said, that the goddess that we live on here, planet Earth, and you take it to such a planetary, expansive level. And if we could take it back to the personal self for a minute, and I just wonder, if that little thought virus comes up and we get contracted, do you have a suggestion for how we might just release it quickly?
One of the most powerful things about that little fear part of our being that's designed to, number one, it's designed to protect us from harm. It's not a bad guy. It actually is a good guy, because it's an anchor to remind you to stop. Breathe into the count of 6. Feel that breath nurturing your body. Allow your mind to relax, because you are the nurturer of yourself. And you can, in that moment, stop what you're doing. Allow the little monkey mind to just be still as you feel your breath moving in naturally and moving out naturally, so that you can just be in your space within. And the slower you breathe out and the slower you breathe in, the more aware you become of that which you need to protect the most, your lungs. Mm-hmm. Become aware of your lungs. Love them. Honor them. Use them as an anchor every time a thought wants to creep in to tell you what to be afraid of. Stop and say, no. I breathe in life. I breathe out life. Just as I take two stanzas of happy birthday to you to wash my hands, mm-hmm. I stop in this moment and I breathe clarity, truth, beauty, and the golden screen of protection deep within, and I give it out to my world in absolute divine protection, and I send it to everything that exists, the trees, the plants, the flowers, all living beings, all the 2-legged, 4-legged, everything that swims. I focus my attention on wholeness. I am whole, and I am one with all other beings. And the more you can begin to do that, you will find that the truth of your being will become stronger than the little fear that wants to permeate you. Because it's nothing more than a triggered thought from something you read, something you remembered, something that you are on the unknown, because many people are afraid of the unknown. But sit with the known rather than be afraid of the unknown. Do a gratitude list. I am grateful for this healthy body that has carried me X amount of years into my life. I am in such a deep state of gratitude for this very home that I get the privilege to live in, the joy of the people that I love and love me, the animals that you dearly love that love you as well, that you are sitting there with all the air you need to breathe and all the water you need to drink, and there's nothing to be afraid of.
Beautiful.
Does that help, Rainya?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. You know, I had a client that was asking about if one of her family members gets the virus, then how to maintain our sovereignty and how to care for the other that is sick.
Well, number one, the very first thing is that person needs to be isolated. I don't know how California is handling it, but Hawaii is isolating them from their families.
What about feeding them?
They're not allowing anyone with the pandemic to be with their families.
Mm-hmm.
They're being taken into a care facility with professionals to take care of them. However, if enough people get it, that will not be a reality. So number one, not just on a physical level, washing your hands and wearing gloves and wearing a mask that covers your eyes and wearing something over. You can make things to wear. You can make gowns to wear, but they have to be washed every day.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Or they have to be thrown away every day. And only one person should be assigned to the care of that person, and it should be the strongest person in the family. Mm-hmm. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to pay attention to all guidelines. Then you also need to take a shower.
Mm-hmm.
People who are taking care of those who are sick really should get things like there are products that you can use in your shower that are antibacterials you use when you go to the hospital to have to have a surgery, like Sebacleanse.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to really shower down with an antibiotic soap because you want to wash anything off of you that could get on you to cause illness. But then in the shower, what you really need to do is allow yourself to breathe in new energy, new life. And again, surround yourself in a golden light.
Mm-hmm.
And put a golden screen all around you that screens out all viruses, everything. And don't allow fear to own you.
Mm-hmm.
So in that moment, just say, I'm fine where I am. Cleanse yourself totally. And again, going back to have the knowledge to be prepared without being panicked. All right? Mm-hmm. Remember that 98% of people who will have this virus will heal.
Mm-hmm.
Don't focus on the 2%. Focus on the 98%. And then go to a deeper level. If you're a metaphysical being, understand that fate will have its way. If one of us chose, before we were born, to use a pandemic to leave, we will. It's not that something wasn't done for us. It's that it was our way out. It was a door we chose.
Mm-hmm.
So you do the best you can to protect yourself while taking care of those that need your help, at the same time understanding that the divine plan is in play.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's most important.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Woman is 101 survived it in Italy. Mm-hmm. A 94-year-old woman survived it in Washington. It wasn't their time to leave. Mm-hmm. So what's more important is gain the knowledge that you need. Use that knowledge on the outside of your body, and then you are under your own personal guidance to do what's necessary to feel whole on the inside. Mm-hmm. And that includes forgiveness and gratitude. And one thing I would say, Rainya, for anybody right now at home, you should be taking an inventory of your life and seeing what is there that's left that you haven't forgiven, who you haven't forgiven, including yourself, and what have you not been grateful for. Mm-hmm. Because this is all part of clearing the way for more purity and wholeness within your being that's going to allow you to begin to feel different about yourself. Because one of the things that will come out of this particular pandemic is you're going to be able to reach a place of a new awareness within you. It reminds me of when I lost my second of my two sons to cancer. And I realized that I could no longer play at grief in the way I had done in the past because my higher self had taken over so much of my life now that it kept reminding me, you know more than this. Mm-hmm. You know this isn't true. Mm-hmm. Don't fall into an old trap, an old habit that you know isn't true. And so I was able to go to a deeper level of communicating with my son on the other side, becoming more aware of his life and his choosings and why it was necessary for him to go at that time, because that was his divine plan. So if we would focus on truth and what we know to be truth and not focus on fear and just get the facts mm-hmm. as we know them mm-hmm. and listen to the inner knower. If there's something that is profoundly important for all people right now, is that your intuition knows more than your mind is capable of knowing. And it is what will protect you, but you have to learn to listen. And when you listen, it will guide you. And it may go against all norms. It may tell you, I want you to use lemon juice or lime juice in everything you're eating and drinking. You go, what? Because that was a statement, by the way, made by Anthony William. He said, if you're on a cruise ship and everybody had a virus, the difference between living and dying would be up to whether or not that cruise ship had lemons and limes. Because the minerals in the lemon and a lime will actually help the body survive against anything and everything. So that's a lesson. Mm-hmm. So keep lemons and limes in your house.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that.
Right?
Yes.
Use them.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that very practical thing. You know, we just have 2 more minutes, and I'm just wondering if your son, Todd, on the other side, has any messages for us from that amazing perspective he holds.
Yeah, I talked to both Todd and I talked to both Rick. They're both there. Rick was in the house yesterday, which is interesting. But Todd is like, he says, you know, what is so difficult about the limited mind of a human being is that most of what is contained within it are fantasies that are videotape recordings of the past. And in consciousness, when one leaves one's body, when you fall into consciousness, if you think of the person that you know that's the smartest or most aware person you know, you adapt their consciousness. So just think of that. So you become completely aware. And that's the one thing that people in bodies don't have, because we haven't spent a lot of time in silence. Because it's in silence that we can tap into the consciousness that spirit has when it no longer has a body. So to meditate and pray will take you to a state that will allow you to feel safe in your world because you're tapping into consciousness. And in consciousness, things can be understood that can't be explained. Because consciousness doesn't have a need to explain. It just knows. And those are those things that come up in your life every once in a while. You say, I don't know. I just can't explain this. I just know it. I just know it to be. And if you can spend more time being quiet, practice being quiet, that's when you can enlist spirit helpers the most. And all people should call upon their angels to help them right now anyway. Because there's angels all around you at all times, but they have to be asked. They're not allowed to interfere in your life without your permission. So call upon them. Teach me to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Teach me to be open to new things. Teach me to appreciate the simplicity of life. Allow me to be a vessel of truth without having to understand what that is. Now he's laughing. He's laughing at us. What can I tell you?
Oh, thank you so much. Such a beautiful channeling and insight and wisdom of all your years. And thank you and all your lifetimes of teaching us. And I know everybody that listens to this will benefit deeply. So
thank you, Rainya, for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, it's a great blessing. Yeah. So we will take this and breathe deeply and honor that this beautiful goddess that we live on is going to be healing as we are also. Thank you so much, Jan.
You're welcome.